Everybody, good to see you. This is Marvin Del Valle with the Daily Crossing, episode 17.
17?
We got 17.
Is it lucky 17?
We already passed the quinceañeras and the sweet
We're
16.
almost legal.
We're almost legal there.
Was
Alexi,
18 or 21 legal?
I don't know this. It depends on what you want to do. Do you want classified documents or do you want to go drinking somewhere? I don't know exactly.
Wow, that's crazy.
It depends on what you're looking to do. You know what I mean?
Cigarettes.
Yeah.
Cigars.
Lorena, good to see you also. Guys, phenomenal to have you here. There's a couple of things. Let me tell you, the whole week was developing, and for most people that don't know, we actually, we do this on a Friday, and we kind of sometimes feel just like antsy to jump into the conversation because there is so much going on. But this week, it just felt like the country was on fire, the world was on fire. It's like we didn't even know what to address or where to start, but just happy to be here. We're actually going to keep it in very specific areas for the benefit of you, so that we're not all over the place. Guys, we definitely want to talk about the move that the Justice Department just recently made and ended up announcing on terms of fighting the fentanyl crisis that we have going on throughout, and how this is involving an incredible amount of players and countries. Some names that people are even familiar with, but some others that some of the other countries that are participating, I think that some people will be a little surprised. Then also some of the stuff that's still happening at the border that is definitely not pretty. There's a specific situation that has been moved around through especially somebody's Twitter's account, and I wanted to talk about that as a reminder of the reality that's taking place on the border. And then we have, as you know, our very good friend. Very good friend.
I was gonna say
Lorena's very good friend. Tucker Carlson is no longer with Fox News. He already came out and made a statement that was more addressing the condition of the media, the country, right? And how even just a couple of days being outside of that madness has helped him even have additional perspective. Guys, I want to address a little bit of the stuff that's going on with Disney, the state of Florida, Governor DeSantis, and
Mickey Mouse.
And needless to say,
Not
probably
being broke.
probably the most significant announcement that took place this week. It has nothing to do with reparations. It has nothing to do with anything connected. It has everything to do with the fact that our current president has officially, personally,
got more ice cream.
through video, made an announcement that he
Personally,
that he is going to be running again for,
makes sense.
you know what I mean? He's running for re-election. So I want to get your take on that. But guys, how about we get started? Here's what happened with the Justice Department, right? They really into significant enforcement action, meaning they going after people, they putting bounties out there. You can see a sequence of $1 million being offered for this guy, for that guy. A lot of names that we know, a lot of the what we call the so-called chapitos, right? This is connected to the Sinaloa cartel. That no Conejo is not involved with that. You're not involved with that, buddy. So I hope you're not involved with that. You're gonna make me look good after you know what I mean. But anyway. Sanctions, which we spoke about, how this financial sanctions right now is also, it has triggered though occasionally a number of countries to as a matter of fact, a lot of the stuff that's taking place with all these countries coming together to say we need to come up with our own currency is precisely because they dislike all the sanctions that is taking place. But some of the players, China has been providing most of the material that is needed to produce all the chemical and pharmaceutical material, all the precursors needed to produce fentanyl has been provided by China. Everybody knows that. It's not new. But what most people didn't know is that there is a sequence of countries that happen to be the buyers and receivers. And it's not necessarily going to the cartels in Mexico, you know what I mean? It's absolutely making a stop. At least one of the countries that we have full confirmation is Guatemala. Makes sense in terms of proximity, right?
Right.
Because obviously Guatemala is right next to its border and it has a border with Mexico. And it kind of makes sense, right? As part of the route coming there, but it's a very ballsy move, you know what I mean? For somebody to become the buyer,
Yeah.
right, of all of these things, and then you supplying that to the cartels. Another argument that people are using about getting to the point where the dollar is going to become a digital currency is because I'm telling you that we already are digital enough
Yeah.
for them to track every movement of money, right? So unless they're going to be paying with chickens or gold or I don't know exactly, you know what I mean? There's no way to avoid
Yeah.
the tracking of how the money is being moved around because it's a lot of money. You know what I mean? And so you can call yourself pharmacy this and pharmacy that, but you're not selling that many Tylenols, you know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
so that's a big issue. Now, you can see this as a very good move because this is definitely a crisis, right? There's finally the country is taking a position that is going to be very public. You do need the collaboration of other countries, right?
Well, I got the mixed feelings about the whole situation
Mhm.
because is there a crisis with drugs? Absolutely, but I think our own FDA it supports it. So, for example, a lot of the drugs that are problems, they're all legal drugs. Or they're replications of legal drugs. So the problem is that as long as you can say that you're allowed to have this thing in one setting, but you can't have it in another setting, it's going to be a problem.
Correct.
You get what I'm saying? So then the hospitals will have, you get what I'm saying, all these drugs for whatever reason they see that it's fit. But then when somebody on the street has it, now it's a problem. But it's going to continue to be a problem as long as we have all these, I would say, dangerous drugs that no one needs under any circumstances. That you can make up reasons as to why you have it.
So what is the suggestion? Because for example, if somebody's on they have a certain condition and they need a certain level of narcotic that they can be prescribed,
Yep.
that's completely different than somebody just doing it for recreational.
Well, I don't
purposes.
think
But
there's any reason why you would need a drug like fentanyl.
well, I mean,
you say like
no,
for
but you're
example,
talking about drugs in general.
that's what I'm
So
saying.
that's
Yeah,
what-
so that's what I'm saying. Like me, I'm against like certain. Anything that's synthetic, I try to stay away from it. You know, so like I don't believe, like for example, like we'll say someone's about to have a baby. You don't need to be on drugs to have babies. People were having babies without drugs for thousands of years, but then now all of a sudden to have a baby you need drugs. I don't believe that.
When was the last time you
I
had
was gonna say.
No, no. But I'm
You
saying,
know,
my grandmother had like 20 of them.
It's like-
Natural. In the bathtub. No drugs necessary. You get what I'm saying? So, like, I don't think that because that's an American way that it has to be that way. You know, so then for me, it's gonna create a problem when you have these things, but then you just don't want it in the hands of certain people. You got to not have it all together. So then to try to go after China because they're selling it to this group, but then you're okay with another country selling it to you, it's just going to create a big problem. Now you get to pick and choose. Like, so my point is, I think they're just mad because they're not in on the cut. They don't want it to be where
Could
they're
be.
not making money.
It could be. It could
Yep.
be. You know, that at some point even a government becomes a cartel.
Yeah.
It could be that
the FDA is the biggest cartel. I agree with
yeah.
that
No,
statement.
But here's my point, though. You know, there are other industries that the products will evolve, the services will evolve. You know what I mean? And we kind of support that. You know what I mean? This is one of those things that you may have concerns about because then you got to consider supervision, no supervision.
True.
Right? If I go to one of these shooting, ranches where there's control environment, here is how do you grab the weapon, somebody's holding you so that you're not even turning around to do something stupid and start shooting people by accident, is 1,000% better than you just showing up to a place there is a gun on the table and you don't even know.
Correct.
So when it comes to a control environment with some level of supervision, and you think as pain management structures or pain killers, as part of the evolution of medicine in general, you know what I mean, for the benefit of people. The problem is when you Michael Jackson, and you have the power to go buy something that end up killing you, that was supposed to be not just supervised, because he was supervised, he still died, right? But it was supposed to be in an environment which is a real medical place, not his bedroom, right? So when it gets to a point where it can be very easily abused, I'm with you in terms of the concern that we all should have. We make these things too easy, too available. Doctors today, forget about just painkillers. You know, as soon as you get to a certain age, they cannot, I mean, it's almost like they can't wait to start, listen, it's not that bad, but we're going to give you some cholesterol medication, right? We're going to give you some kind of stuff that at some point you say, whoa,
we're
listen.
in insurance. Every client above the age of 45 is in the Lisinopril. What?
Metformin is like, I didn't know what metformin was until I came to this industry, and then I come here and I'm like, wait a minute, is everybody on metformin?
Yes.
Right? And so there is a legal cartel. Make no mistake about it. And there's a lot of entities that have a lot of money, a lot of companies that will go and lobby for these things. And I had been in my doctor's waiting area, and I see this line of people representing different companies, and just coming in to say hi, and we're bringing you some donuts, and we bring you some, and that's a way of reminding people, hey, don't forget to promote our stuff, right? Or whatever, exactly. And that's, I didn't want to say pedal, but
I will.
To promote the stuff, you know what I mean? And so that's the legal side. The illegal side will always be there for two reasons. One of them, there are some people that don't have access to that supervised environment, meaning it's not like I can go to my doctor, and second, I can't afford to spend, $150,000, $200,000 on those legal drugs. I need to find a bag for $10. So I need to find some crack that's going to really get me high, but I can only do it with $10, $20. I don't have the money, I don't have the legal, but the problem is now you outside supervision, now it's not just a question of dependency though, it's the question of the consequences to the individual and the consequences to the environment.
I got you. So let me just clarify. So should you be allowed to sell alcohol or drugs without the proper supervision or proper licensing? No. But you can't get mad at the manufacturers who will sell it to anybody, is what I'm saying. So if China's going to sell it to half the people legally, but then there's somebody else who wants to buy the same thing, but then they don't have the proper paperwork, I don't think you get mad at China for that. That's what I'm saying. Or anybody who's developing the substances. Now, anybody who's selling it without the proper whatever they need in place to sell it, yes, go after that person. But I don't think you get mad at the person who's growing, you get what I'm saying, or developing whatever this is, that half the situations it's okay to sell, and then in other half the situations.
So what you're saying is, I just want to make sure that I understand what you're saying. So what you're saying is, China specifically, who's
let's say they're the
America's number one enemy.
Correct.
They're just in the business of manufacturing, and they just have different levels of distribution.
Correct.
Some shitty, some not.
No, I think it's all the same. It's all the same. So for example, if I make baby powder, right? I don't care whether you taking that baby powder to make a drug, to make a lotion, to make what. I'm just a manufacturer of this baby powder, and I'm selling it to everybody across the world. So then now, if you decide to buy my baby powder and make a drug out of it, and now people are dying, you can't get mad at me.
It's not like
for making the baby powder. Get mad at the person who.
The problem with these things is that it's not like the coke plantation. It's not like the opioid plantation. This is something that, for all intents and purposes, I mean, by now, just so you know, this is almost becoming the same in the sense that these things that are being used, again, the precursor, right, is nobody is saying, okay, we're going to come up with some good aspirin here that's good for the heart. Like, they know exactly. This is at this point it's no different. So we can't really make an argument. But I will tell you the argument. I will really tell you the argument that everybody's got to keep in mind. This is the argument from the outside. By the way, from every country that's actively participating on sending drugs to the United States, say, why don't you control your demand for the drugs? And then we'll slow down the supply.
True.
But if your demand remains that high,
gonna make some money.
we have to supply it. We have to like seriously.
Yeah,
right?
I get it. Yeah.
And that is the reality that we're facing, though. As long as there is a buyer, there will be a seller.
I agree.
As long as there's a drug user, there will be a pusher. You call
A
it.
peddler, sorry.
But whatever you call it, so
producer
now
than a
with that being said, it's not
Yeah.
you naming China right now. Is there somebody there that's looking at the whole scenario just to say, I'm gonna make some money? I don't
Yes,
care. I don't care who gets.
100%.
I don't care who gets
Yes.
divorced, loses houses,
Yep.
gets on crack, do whatever you gotta do. I just
Correct.
want to make some
Yeah,
money.
I agree.
I'm not even. That guy is out there, right? The problem is, if this is something that is, because remember, China is very controlled. You cannot sneeze without somebody knowing that you're doing that.
Jack Ma went missing.
Is
And
this
quiet
if
for
this something that's happening just from on the basis of
Yeah.
capitalism, somebody's
Yeah.
going to make some money, or if this is a controlled environment from our number one enemy, right, who is saying, how about we really make it between TikTok and this crap and all of this and everything else, and
Yeah.
how about we make it a little more? So
And it's possible.
I have, just like you, I have mixed emotions about this whole thing because definitely something has to be done.
Yes.
Something has to be done from the legal consumption. Something has to be done from the illegal consumption.
So-
Power has to be taken away from entities like the Sinaloa cartel and all these other entities that have a real crime organization going. All these gangs from the MS-13 to the Salvatruchas to the whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Power has to be taken from these things because they're acting as a government.
No, and I get you. And my biggest thing is anytime I hear about the war on drugs or anything like that, it's like I feel like the war itself, it contributes to there being more people looking to get drugs. So we know that prohibition didn't work, right? And it wasn't until they said, okay, everything is legal, you got to go through these certain entities, that now I would say we have a better control on alcohol. It's a lot less people.
Would you be for legalizing drugs?
Yeah, 100%. But and not even so much legalizing drugs. I think there needs to be a bigger push on education on what these things are.
You know,
so like,
we
I
still
don't
have,
worry about.
You know, we still have some level of bootlegging.
Yeah, no,
going on.
correct.
Yeah,
But what I'm
even
saying,
after,
yeah, I get you. But what I'm saying is, I'm not worried about my kids going out and drinking, paint thinner because I'm gonna teach them don't drink paint thinner. Like you don't do that. But I'm not gonna go now. If kids somehow decide, we're gonna start drinking paint thinner because you get high. I'm not gonna try to make paint thinner illegal and go after the paint companies. And now we gotta teach the kids, hey, do not use fentanyl. It will kill you. Stop doing that. Like, and the problem is that when you make it illegal and you make it say, oh, well, it's kind of okay to do sometimes. It's okay if your doctor gives it to you, but if the guy on the street gives it to you, it's a problem. Now there's this gray area where a lot of people don't know when they should or shouldn't do something. Every time I've gotten a painkiller was from a doctor, never from somebody on the streets. I mean, maybe once or twice. Most of the time, it's from the doctor.
It was a different time. I was 17 years old.
But most of the time, it's usually they give it to me now, right? And then I'm like, why did they give me this? Like, I had a headache. It was okay. It wasn't that serious, And then I could see how that could lead to a bigger problem. So I think the biggest push we got to have, or what should be done, is people need to be properly educated. What happened to DARE? Does DARE even exist anymore? I don't think DARE even exists. Like they don't teach you about none of these things, so it's not like now you're learning everything you know about drugs
I'm from a whole other
TikTok.
country. What did DARE used to do
So
other
DARE,
than the shirts?
No.
Because that's what I swear to God,
I got
that's
you.
what I see.
So DARE, I did it in elementary school, and it was a cop that would come to the school and he would show you the drugs, and he would say, "This is crack. Here's what it looks like. Don't do it. Here's what it will do to you." And then so now the first time you're learning about crack and cocaine is not from your friends. Do you get what I'm saying?
Not from the guy who says, "Here, try it. It's good."
Correct. Yeah. So I think there needs to be a bigger push on just educating people on what these things are, when to do it. And will it still be a problem? Yes, but I think it'll be less of a problem versus now it's like this illegal thing because now kids want to do it.
No, I agree with you. The problem is that the only thing that you can do when you're talking about in terms of legalizing something, it's got to be either a similar effect, and the problem is that do you want everybody to legally have access to something that, I mean, you got people right now walking around like zombies. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? We had an office in a very complicated area,
Yeah.
and we literally, I said, like, I understand why this zombie shows and movies became so popular, because
Yeah.
you
They're
look
real.
at people that
They're real.
literally
Yeah, yeah.
That far from
literally
reality,
look
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's and so do I want the type of drug that I can go into the supermarket, right? The same way that I'm grabbing some Tylenol. Oh, by the way, let me take a little bit of crack with me. You know what I mean? I don't. So can you truly replace it with something that will give some kind of a stimulation? Because some people, sadly enough,
Yeah.
are prompt to that type of a the need for that type
Yeah.
of stimulation support, and they're always going to look for something. My thing with drugs is that, to me, there will always be some level of illegal drugs for two reasons. Look at the kind of money that's being moved around with this
Sure,
thing.
yeah. Big
The
money.
second thing is that
Yeah.
you can't. There's certain things that you couldn't make them legal. You know what I mean? It's just they just extremely harmful. You know what I mean? So I think there's a big difference between the whole situation with alcohol and this kind of
Yeah, but there's
scenarios.
some
You know what I mean?
stuff that is like, alcohol will kill you over time. There are some things that, there are like some drugs that you can take an ounce too much.
No, but most of them are legal, is what I'm saying.
Correct.
Most of the worst drugs on the planet are legal. It's just that it's illegal when you get it when it wasn't prescribed to you from your doctor.
Correct.
And then now, because these things exist.
So do you think the accountability should be on the doctor that is prescribing?
No, not the doctor. No, I'm just the system of as
I
to
think
why
you almost have
it
to.
exists.
You have to. And the problem is that, again, when somebody like Donald Trump is talking about the swamp, right? And you will have to almost rewrite or reset how medicine is
Yeah.
handled in this country to be able to come close to something that would be a real regulation. You know what I mean? That, first of all, there's so much money involved.
Yeah.
Second of all,
Money's a problem.
yeah, you know
That's
what I
the
mean?
truth, yeah.
Money's the
No.
No.
Say that.
I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying?
No.
When I say money's a problem, I mean
Greed
the people, yes, exactly.
the
Chasing
problem.
the money,
No.
and doing anything to get it. So at the end of the day,
Yeah, I mean,
people will
the
set
final
you up.
thing that I can tell
Yeah.
you about this is that my fear is that we just gotta go out there, ruffle some feathers, not come up with any meaningful answers.
Yep.
And like you're saying, the whole so-called war on terror, a war on drugs,
Yep.
just makes it worse. You know what I mean? For a little while, it looked like the stuff that was going on got Miami under control. But that didn't last for too long. As a matter of fact, everybody said, "But why do you want to stop this?" Is that money is what built Miami? You know what I mean? So why? Again, do we want to take it away from their hands just so that we can tax it? Is that a financial move or is that a health move? You know what I mean?
Financial.
Financial.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
and here's the only thing that I can tell you about that: the financial motivation hopefully will be big enough where something positive
Got
can
you.
come out.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, absolutely.
Where next thing you
Absolutely.
know, there's a little disclosure about how many ounces of whatever.
Fentanyl's in my
Yeah,
blood.
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Only smoke it
Yeah.
once, okay? Or you're not gonna be punched.
Correct.
for-
Put a warning on.
yeah,
this,
yeah,
please.
but that's what we are. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I
yes.
think it again. This thing's still mixed emotions, but hopefully something good will
But
come
something
out.
needs to happen, no matter what.
I think it's always
I
good
agree.
to let people know, like, who are like the biggest players out there. The same way that everybody for a long time knew that Colombia was playing a big role with cocaine, and then Venezuela started to also become, one of those selected routes, but now even sponsored by the government itself,
Yeah.
or you have
Correct.
North Korea also being involved on Afghanistan. Man, Afghanistan is like the biggest distributor of opioid. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Comes out of. But anyway, hopefully something good will come out. Hopefully, what I would like to see here, though, is something that is going to improve our relationship with our neighbors to the south, right? Because Mexico right now, our relationship with Mexico, our relationship with most of the countries, our relationship
for
with just
Canada.
about everybody, you know what I mean, is not in a good place. But anyway, guys, I want to highlight something that was being moved around through the first time I saw it, and I would say through Twitter, right? But the first time I saw it was on Kerry Lake. I don't know if you remember. Kerry Lake was ran for governor for the state of Arizona. She is a former news personality, you know what I mean? Very well-spoken lady, and you know,
She has a lot of star power.
I think she's gonna, she's gonna be
she can
around,
do
you know what I
something
mean,
special.
politically and stuff like that. And she was talking about an 8-year-old migrant girl that was sexually abused, right? And let me say that one more time. 8-year-old migrant little girl that was sexually abused, and there was 67 DNA samples. And you know what that means, right? That every sample represents a different individual. And there's people saying, well, it's not true, that's exaggerated, there's no way in hell. There's a lot of people so-called fact-checking the whole news. The fact of the matter is that whether it's 67 or one
is too many.
it's already one is too many. This is something that is not supposed to be happening.
Correct.
And the problem is that you want to get distracted with the numbers, saying there is no way in hell it's 67. Then we are truly missing the point of the horror story that is taking place along the border every single time, because this is happening. This is happening to young little girls that should be cared for and protected, all the way up to even I mean, just the fact that you are already at a legal age and you are it doesn't mean that you should end up in a prostitution center or a prostitution facility that's being run by one of these cartels, you know what I mean? Or that you should be raped along the way 1,000 times just to make it from your country to the United States. I mean, these are the things that, and when I see something like that and I see people arguing for and against it, I just can't understand how anybody
Wait, who's arguing for?
Yeah, saying that there's no way, this is a lie. I'm gonna tell you, this is I don't know about a specific number is irrelevant. The fact that it's actually happening, because I know, because along the way this is how I came into the country, guys. You know what I mean? I'm somebody that went through Guatemala, went through Mexico, witnessed how many people were either physical abuse, people that got kidnapped along the way, people that by the time I got to a refugee home, you know, like 7 to 8, I would say the average was more like 8 out of every 10 women will literally say that they were raped or they were held back on a prostitution center. Some of them were introduced to drugs just to be able to because how do you function in that environment? They gotta get you high. And so this is for anybody who is politically motivated, sick enough to be so sold out to defending one specific political party or something like that, and not accept the fact that this is happening, that it's not getting better. It's a real problem, though. It's a real problem. So I feel for not only this young lady. Hopefully, I'm absolutely praying. Hopefully, it's not that at that level. But if it was just like we're saying, one person, that would be already one too many. And we need to find a way to get. I again see the same issue. This whole conversation about why is the border so out of control? It's because you need to keep it so out of control to be able to have all the traffic of things, people, and everything that comes along when you have that many people to. I mean, it's like people are in a war zone when it comes to these things. You know what I mean? So
what I do want to say and mention about this is actually. This is one of the reasons, because for me it was very shocking to hear you as an immigrant to be so strong believing that the border should be closed. I'm also an immigrant myself, but I didn't cross the border the way that you did.
Correct.
So the way that we came into this country is completely different.
Correct.
One of the things is, again, one is plugging into the actual peddling, right? Your video that you actually put together. We can even put a link below here that talks about some of the solutions that you think will be useful and the reason why. But, if somebody's listening to this for the first time, can you give us like a good 3 bullet points as to one of the reasons why are you so against open borders?
Yeah, I mean, for me, what I want to close the border to this. I want to close
Right.
the border to the human trafficking that's taking place
Mm-hmm.
and to the drug trafficking that's taking place, right? Because the people that are being used as mules, right, in some cases, is not a 30-year-old man who is capable to. It's a little 14-year-old kid that they know they're not going to stop at a 9-year-old boy
Gotcha.
that they we keeping your sister here if you don't go deliver this package. These things are actually taking place. So to me, some practical solutions is privatize it, make it private. Everybody was extremely concerned with TSA. It came out of nowhere, right? It was like, what the hell is going on? How are you going to put a private company in charge of the security of the airports, essentially security of the country, right? Because, well, it turned out to be, I'm not going to say that it's perfect, but it was good enough, to
Not better
run.
than clear, though.
Not better than clear, but TSA is just another layer. I will say that there are some people that work there that do leave me concerned. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what we knew is that what was happening there before, which was only government run, was not going to do the job, right? So going private was not a bad move there. I think that our immigration system can be privatized, and I think they can be privatized. For my second point, connected to this, is to have a proactive role with immigration, meaning opposed to just letting people. By the way, there are already entities that will go to certain, especially here in the state of Florida, that will go to a farmer. There are people that will go to a farmer and say, "How many people do you need? How many people do you want?" And they will be housing these guys on mobile homes. So they say, I need 50. So they bring the 50 people that will be housing in on mobile homes, and there will be a bus available to move you
Yep,
around to,
yep.
and there
Yep.
will be,
Yep.
this, some of that,
Yep.
it's already happening.
Right.
But there's so much red tape. Like I just had a meeting with somebody last Wednesday, this Wednesday, as a matter of fact, about that. How does it work? What is the process? Is that something where would be? Is there a way to help it? So proactively going out there, getting some good people to come in and help us on any kind of production, whether it's working on the agricultural side of or factories. But we can also get some very good talent. We can become recruiters. We can go out there and say, you know what, Alexi, I think that right now we can go to Argentina and get some good people to come in and compete with the wineries that we have in California right now, because Argentina right now is producing some.
Mendoza.
You know what I mean. There are things that we can do, especially when it comes to technology, all the things that are actually happening. So proactively we can create that. But finally, is to create a.
So it's crazy because I watched. I'm hanging out with my dad for the last couple of weeks, and we've watched two movies that are about basketball players being
Correct.
recruited. One of them from Spain, and the other one is Dirk Nowitzki, which is from Germany.
Correct.
And it's like, think about like the NBA is doing it at that level. Why
Correct.
can't we actually do it on every level, intentional?
First of all, I think it's possible, and I think that the only reason why we're not doing it at every level is because, again, the political structure of our immigration system is such that it's just too much red tape. There's nothing is because my final component deals with the humane aspect of the whole process, right? We tend to forget that there's real people.
On the other
There's
side.
mothers carrying children, physically carrying children. I want you the next time you just go to the supermarket and you have a couple of bags with you, right? And I want you to give yourself the opportunity to walk. I'm just going to give you 14 miles, 20 miles with those bags. Now think about what it takes to go from Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico. You are walking over 1,000 miles. And in some cases, most of the times, carrying a child, carrying some kind of bag, carrying something, right? And along the way, everything is taking place. So what I'm proposing, Laz, is a port of entry. No different than what we had in Ellis Island, right? Like when the massive European migration took place, they came through there. So we can do something similar along especially the heavy areas of the border, when we have that heavy traffic, because what we're doing is we're giving people the opportunity to identify themselves, and that's good for us inside of the country. Because if you don't know who the hell is coming in, and you are naive enough to think that everybody that's coming in is actually a good person,
Looking for
then
the
you're a
American
little
dream.
too naive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
That because by the way, the overwhelming amount of people are coming to, they just want to work, they just want to send some money back home, they want to help. They will have absolutely no issues knowing that, as a matter of fact, that was what they believe was going to happen under this administration. We just got to show up and somebody's going to write down my name and I have a job, right? But now we know that this just created a bigger mess. You know what I mean? And so, but if I can go over there and I'm saying, hey, my name is so and so, this is the documentation, the documents that I have from my country, and hopefully we can establish a way with countries around us who actually benefit. Mexico can say whatever they want to say, but the amount of money that we send from the United States to Mexico, from the United States to Guatemala, United States to the Cuban economy, wouldn't it be able to actually exist without the money, the so-called remesas, right? Right? Venezuela is sending more people. The number one import from Venezuela into the United States is people, because they need for that money to go back to the country somewhere somehow. They're not going to stop it if they were so offended with the United States to say, you know what, no dollars coming in here. No, so, find a way to get it in. Don't worry about it. And so, port of entry. For me, those things can truly make a real significant difference so that we can see a reduction of this type of crimes being committed. And I'm hoping that at some point somebody that has the backing and somebody that has the financial capability, or somebody that will just have the political connections to start making some of these things hopefully a reality. I don't know where it's going to go, but that's what I'm going to continue to advocate until somebody hopefully listens or challenge my position, because if somebody has a better idea, then I'm willing to hear it, you know what I mean? But guys, I just wanted to move on a little bit. I know that you were very concerned. I saw you very sad the other day because you heard the news that your very good friend Tucker Carlson was let go of Fox News.
I don't.
Yeah.
He was more concerned about Don Lemon.
No. Didn't care what he
So
did.
what was actually happening around those days, though? Yeah, CNN and Fox News at the same day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Big players. you know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
sure why. But it,
CEO for what was it? It wasn't MSNBC.
I think it was.
Somebody was it the same day? Everybody, three big players get.
I mean, something's going on. I don't know what's going on, and I'm not even sure if they're all connected or if this is like they're all trying to accomplish the same thing, or if it's something different going on in each firing that happened. So I know it's big because these are people who've been with these networks for over a decade for all of them. So
Lemon was 17 years.
yeah, that's almost 20 years. Oh my gosh, that's a long time.
Tucker, I think it was only about
It's our episode.
10, 12 years. Something like that.
Look at that.
So here's the way that I look at it.
Yeah.
Looking at Tucker Carlson, by the way, we've parted ways. It's very politically correct what they're saying. It looks more like he was let go because the Friday night episode he says, "We'll see you Monday," and then that never came. Yes, and so not that I watched the Friday night episode, but I went digging, and that's exactly what happened.
It's okay.
Yeah, you can tell people
Yeah.
No, not really. It's like, but I do follow.
You can come out of that.
Some of the stuff. No, it's okay. I don't like closets. I am who I am. Here's what I will say in regards to that, both Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon. Look at the way that they reacted to the whole thing. Because Tucker waited 2 days, he cleared his head, he was very well composed, put together, and he put a message saying...
They didn't really say anything about the details internal.
Right, because it wasn't... It was exactly like, here's what's happening, there's some good people, there's some bad people, and, I'm glad that I was able to see
Spoke about the condition of the media
in
the
general,
country,
right.
and things that are happening around the world. And that was, not a bad assessment.
Right.
But there was no...
So Don Lemon
Giving
on the other
details and
side,
complaining
no,
and
and that's
crying
it. And
or,
Don Lemon, the
What happened
first
with
thing
it?
is I just found out, like on a tweet, I just found out that I was let go of CNN, and like pa. CNN comes back and tells them and tells him and tells everybody, actually, they say, we gave Don Lemon the opportunity to have an in-person conversation, but that didn't happen on his end, not on the CNN level. And then on the last part, there was an episode, not an episode, like a quick red carpet thing that happened.
Yeah.
And he was all kinds of like bitchy and wounded about it. And that's the argument for like being a little bit more conservative, you know. It's like if you are at that level, like whatever happened to the Don Lemon that told everybody like decade ago, whenever he was coming up, or more than a decade ago, 15 years ago probably, that said everybody pull up your pants, you know, behave, dress like you're supposed to. And now he's the little bitchy guy saying, I'm gonna go save for margaritas with my boyfriend or my husband or whoever it is. I'm like, what a little...
It's a little emotional,
Yeah,
maybe a little
I'm
immature.
like the pacification that is
I mean,
happening.
a little bit of a victim mentality.
Totally.
Sounded a little
Totally.
bit of... Here's one of the main reasons for that. You know, the funny thing is that, you know, this whole Bud Light situation, we're not going to go back into that. But markets will tell you when you actually, something major happened, right?
Yeah.
And they will support when it's good, and they will drop when it's bad, right?
Gotcha.
CNN stock
doing better.
actually went up
Yep,
after this guy, and Fox News stock
went down.
went down when the
Lost $1
announcement.
billion.
So you have reactions because markets are saying this is a marketing. By the way, Dan Lemon, I don't know if he ever achieved number one on anything, but he hasn't been number one.
For a while.
Not even on, you know, margarita drinking competition, I would assume, right? Tucker, on the other hand, though, you know what I mean? That was the number one show for, Bill O'Reilly used to have that slot. And then once Bill was let go, and at this kind, I think, believe it or not, I think that this is more of a Tucker move, in the sense that he was probably pressured to either stop doing something or to do something.
And he decided to go.
He knows that at this moment, listen, if you're gonna ever go,
This is the
you
time.
gotta go at the highest point, because right now I can only imagine the amount of calls that he's getting right now
Yeah.
from God knows everybody. Listen, just get your own stuff started,
Yeah.
make it happen. This guy couldn't be in a better position.
Right.
Couldn't be and then he comes out and makes an announcement saying,
Like that.
you know, I was able
See
to
you
step
soon.
back. I removed myself a little bit from this madness, from the noise. You know, it was
good.
poised, very well composed. Again, spoke about media, state of the country, state of the planet. I'm like, this guy is like, what a setup. And then the other guy is complaining like,
Bitching. Yeah.
they didn't even have the decency to tell me that, like, yeah, it didn't look well. Not his most manliest moment. But it is what it is. But Tucker is going to be okay, I promise.
Yeah. I think they're
Fox
both gonna be
News, on
okay.
the other hand, listen, Fox News has been changing for a while. You know what I mean? There's only a few old-timers, you know what I mean? A few old-timers. They happen to be there, a lot of new faces, so even Fox News is going to, you know, it reminds me of the transition that CNN itself was making, where they were center-right, and little by little they went center, and then they went center-left,
they're
and now
so
I
lost
don't
to the
even
left,
know, I
yeah.
think they just lost right now.
Yeah.
They don't even have a clear message. Like, you watch CNN and sometimes you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad, and then you go, okay, that was bad, right? There's
So there's a few people that are claiming that Fox News' motto is they're not afraid of giving, of letting go of their superstar if they're stepping out of place and they're stepping out of line.
Correct.
And you know, this comes in right after the whole Dominion thing. Fox News paid out $700 and something million dollars or whatever it is. Here's the way that I look at it. When those guys were let go, because I don't know, I wasn't a Glenn Beck person back in, but
Correct.
apparently Glenn Beck was in Fox News.
Yeah,
Right?
Glenn
He was
Beck
one of those
part
guys,
it,
and that's
right.
how he became like. The same thing with Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, but Glenn will take you to stories when you're talking about.
I don't know. I really don't know. By the way, I never watched a Tucker Carlson episode. I would watch glimpses, but
he will give you certain decent perspective about certain things. But in order for you to come to a conclusion saying, well, that wasn't a bad point, that wasn't like, he will walk you through so many conspiracies and so many things that, like, this dude has got to be drinking something somewhere. There is no way that we can, to get to this point, we have to go through all of that.
Yeah.
And so in my book, you know, is I couldn't, you know, O'Reilly was just emotional also, but emotional in Angry,
I've never seen any of those guys. I've seen clips though
Yeah.
of what they do. Here's where I'm at with this, and looking at it from a business perspective for Fox News. The thing about when both of those guys, when everybody was let go, is that social media wasn't so social media
Correct.
as it is
Correct.
today.
Correct.
You know what I mean? This guy, Tucker, can actually go in and he can go to Rumble and boom.
He can
explode.
have a
He
greater
could go to the Daily
audience.
Wire, boom. He could make a way more money.
He
you
can,
know,
he can
just
have a greater
by-
audience
so-
by himself than through the actual channel. And the other thing that I will tell you about that, I get the whole idea that they're not afraid of letting go their superstars and stuff like that. They proven that. But at the end of the day, you know, it's different when you had people that it was almost like their time to go. I mean, Glenn Beck maybe wasn't, but O'Reilly, you know, was getting a little older and. You
guy's
know,
53.
crampy sexuals. This guy is really at his prime because I seen Tucker during years where you couldn't really, you know, even stand the guy because he was a little bit annoying. He had the Ben Shapiro type of appeal where like you like, but Ben is just 1,000 times smarter than anybody else, but it took me a minute to be able to, and I'm always make fun of myself because I'm saying, probably somebody's saying, bro, I can't barely understand you, you know what I mean? But Ben is somebody that is so on point about so many things, you know what I mean? Like I was reading one of his books the other day, and I'm like, I can't read this. It's so, as a matter of fact, and I hate the fact that he's so accurate, he's so right about these things that are wrong, that I don't even want to read it. It's like killing my spirit, you know what I mean? It's like, just think about that. When you're reading something for somebody that is so right about so many things that are wrong, you're like, this is, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight, right? And so, you know, the situation with this guy today is a bona fide superstar
Yeah.
in the media.
Yeah, star power.
Today is different. This was not a sexual accusation. During those days, everybody was being accused of some kind of sexual, you know, scandal. Somebody had come out against, say, that, and that's what essentially took O'Reilly out, and many other people, and a lot of people just believed that was really not the real reason because it was not. I don't want to say it wasn't significant enough, but it wasn't enough to get your number one guy of the, you know, there were other reasons.
Do we know what the reason they're saying?
Not yet. He hasn't. The Fox News hasn't announced it, and he hasn't yet gotten into an
Respect to the
interview.
guy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because,
It's like-
and by the way, that's the way you do it for the following reason. You need to know how things are going to play out, and you want to keep yourself as marketable as possible.
Yep.
And the way you do that is by show some level of poise and composure, and people will say, okay, this guy
Yeah.
can be.
What is it you say always, and it's so freaking wise? Don't let it go to your head, though. You always say, what people don't know about you is what's keeping you safe.
Write it down, everybody, and make sure you put
I'm
next.
gonna regret saying this right now.
Next
I'm gonna
to
hear
it,
it for the next.
you know, as per Marvin Del Valle, you know what I mean? It's one of my quotes.
I'm gonna just quote it myself.
That's an old Brooklyn saying. You know what I mean? For some very nice people that I know in Brooklyn. So what people don't know about you is the only thing protecting you. And so this is not a time for anybody to know what he's thinking.
Got it.
This is a good time for everybody to see how he's
Yeah.
behaving. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But anyway, listen, he's gonna be fine. I promise you,
Yeah.
he's gonna be doing much better than every single one of us right now. We're talking about a
Yep.
guy that had a multi-million-dollar contract with Fox. He's gonna get paid out, bought out, or whatever it is that he's got to do.
Correct.
There's a possibility. There are rumors that he might have to sit out for a little while because of the nature of the contract. I don't know. You know what I mean? There's a
see.
potential possibility for some lawsuits. Eventually, the truth will come out. But the final thing that I wanted to tell you guys is I don't know if you're excited about the news that happened this week. You know what I mean? It's like the biggest news on the planet. I mean, it's at least in the country. You know what I mean? To know that our current president has decided to personally, through video, made the announcement that he's running again. He's running for re-election.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
You're not surprised.
No, I'm not
Please
surprised.
help me understand why.
Why? Like that, you're supposed to. Whether you want to or not, you must. You have to. I feel like he's just following the script. But I already said it a long time
That
ago.
is quite literally
Yeah.
what is happening.
Yes, he's 100%. But I already said it. I think there needs to be an age limit on the president. I'm telling you, the same way how there's you can't be younger than 36.
Yeah.
You should not be able to be older than 72. Like I think after that, you got to pack it up, do something else.
Go golfing.
You're not fit to run the country.
I think you said the last time,
Yeah.
you said what you wanted to know was who was running the country.
Mhm.
Because at this point, it doesn't look like he's the one.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But what do you think about the announcement, though? A video?
Well, I didn't see I heard the
yeah,
announcement, but
yeah.
I didn't watch the whole video. But like I said, I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not talking
Yeah.
about the details. I'm
Yeah.
talking about choosing
Yeah. Oh, it's for
to do it through video, opposed to doing what everybody
Gotcha,
does. You know,
yeah,
you get in front
where
of
you have
people,
a-
you get a bunch of people.
Well, it's a
in front of
different
you,
world.
You get them excited.
He's following the way of the world right now, which everything happens on TikTok. Instagram. So yeah,
So
I mean,
China knew it first.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that. He's trying to show that
It
he's
was a
still young.
3-minute video.
He's still
It's
young.
not
He's
on
still
a
young.
platform.
He's still young.
It's not
I
TikTok
don't
friendly.
know. Yeah, I have no clue.
What do you?
Hmm?
What
Well,
are you thinking?
he's
Yeah.
defending us against banning books,
So-
and he understands us. And I don't understand. I mean, I don't. He's supposed to. That's the
Yeah.
only thing that I can tell you
Yeah,
is
I
that
don't see
he's
why he
supposed to.
wouldn't.
That's.
As long as
I don't know. I think that actually helps us a lot to make sure that we have the opportunity. So if the other side, because unfortunately, it's not like I'm so sold out to the other side, but it's the only semi-sane side that we have, right? So if the other side gets their stuff together and they actually come in and they say, okay, we really have an opportunity to make something happen here. With the way the economy is, with the way that everything is, if we focus on doing the right thing and we focus on recruiting the independents that are on the fence, because there's a bunch of people that are on the fence, especially with what's happening now. A lot of people's money is being touched, and touching people's money makes them more aware. So I think it's a great opportunity for the other side to pick up some momentum and we actually be able to do something. I don't know if that's actually gonna happen. You know, that's my only hope. So it's a great opportunity. I hope that we get to capitalize. That's
Here's what the announcement through video says to me, though. They want.
I'm already checked out.
No. Yeah. They want to run the same play that they ran the last time around. But the last time
It
around,
worked.
we were going through COVID, right? So here you have one guy with 10,000 people in this, arena, whatever this is, or 3,000 people, whatever the case was, and then you had, who today is President Biden, at that point was candidate, right, running for president, with 16 people, sitting all, you know what I mean, and everybody was saying, see, that's how responsible, he's keeping distancing, social distancing, all the other stuff. So the fact that he was keeping himself locked into a basement and all those things, that helped him because thank God. That every time you gave him the opportunity to say something, he got himself in enough trouble for people to go, do we really want to do this? Or it's just that it was a whoever is not Trump type of election
Right.
at that moment, right? That there's this, everybody hated. I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think, I think that for the first time,
Wait,
a lot
so you
of people.
think that there's all of the whoever is not Trump people, where did they go?
I think there's three things happening out of this election right now that everybody's got to pay attention. One of them, I think that the amount of no matter what, whoever but not Trump, that group ended up shrinking. I'm not saying that they went away 100%, but if at the end when primary is done for the Democratic Party and you're looking at a President Biden running against a former President Trump, I don't think that Trump, I don't care what color his hair or his face is, I don't think he's going to look that bad. I think at that point you're going to go, things were
Gas
just
was
a lot,
cheaper, eggs were
you can
affordable.
go through,
There was no war.
we were not fighting with anybody, we're not, the currency was not a risk, there was so many things that you can, so the whole idea of hiding these men again, behind videos, it's not going to work. This time, unless we have another COVID situation,
Well,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? It's like that worked because people were not really exposed to this man.
get you. Yeah.
Like you didn't. You're like you kind of you were thinking about the vice president or Senator Biden. You know what I mean? That was very much engaged and alert, and that what we got. Once we got it, it's like wait a minute, this guy, he can't. Whose hands is he shaking? Or I mean, it's like.
So what you're saying is last time what carried him through the COVID thing was his behavior because he was being responsible, and also that he had a track record.
He was protected. No, he was heavily protected. He was heavily guarded. He was kept. Again, on a basement type of environment.
Right, but people knew.
And the media
people knew him as this was
you're,
the guy.
Yeah, you're like, you know what I mean. You kind of remember that there was the guy. You know what I mean. It's not like he did anything significant though. He just sounded like he knew what he was talking about. At least you know what I mean. Yeah. At least it was a cohesive.
Kind of like us.
You know what I mean? So. But anyway, listen. We'll see how this is gonna go. The country is definitely not. The country and the world right now is not in a good place.
2030.
I'm gonna be the first one to tell you I am not looking forward to another 4 years of Biden, and I definitely don't want to put a greater risk to have Vice President Kamala Harris to become the president of this country right now.
Yeah.
I'm all for a female president, man, but I need somebody that is a lot more competent than that.
Correct.
And not this way. So I got a couple of friends right now that we're already, arguing this out about, listen.
So you mentioned, does he make it out of the primary? He has to go through a primary? I thought if he is
normally,
he
it's
doesn't
like an
have
unwritten rule, but I don't think it's guaranteed.
Normally, no. This case, I mean, he already has a couple of challengers out there. Nobody with a big name, nobody that carries a lot of, you know what I mean?
They're talking about Kennedy.
But I don't know if he's going to run as an independent, or I don't know if he made the announcement of running as a Democrat, right?
Okay.
And so I know that he's running. And to be quite honest with you, I wish I would have had a little more details about him, but we're going to look into that. Again, I'm not necessarily even crazy about this guy. It's just that, but if I have a choice, because again, everybody's going to the nostalgic idea of, Kennedy, you know what I mean, might be a good thing again for the country. And he took some positions against the abusive steps that were taken when it came to the vaccine that I can agree with, you know what I mean? So I can support that, but I don't know what his positions happen to be yet about the economy, capitalism, American dream, private sector, all of these things, you know what I mean? The reduction of the size of government, what are we gonna do to protect the currency? You know what I mean? And so, but anyway, that I think we definitely, the next time we definitely gonna make some time to talk about some of the people that are running out there and help everybody have a better perspective. But he will be challenged. I don't know if he's gonna be challenged by somebody that would be enough of a superstar. Because right now except for AOC, I don't know, and by the way, she will be running for president. She will be, maybe not this one, but she will be running for president. You get ready. And by the way, I will say get ready to say welcome, President Cortez. But anyway,
that sounds like
we already got enough not to sleep about tonight. So let's move on from that one. The last thing, guys, right now what's going on with Disney and Governor DeSantis. I just want to touch on that for a second because we entering in a territory with I don't know if there's going to be any real winners here. I think that there's going to be a little bit of. I think that at this point it's getting into that weird situation where it doesn't look like reasonable people. This is just here's my position, non-negotiable. Yeah. Here's the position that non-negotiable. So, what's your take on what's going on with Disney? Guys,
I think Disney's gonna win this. So.
You think
yes.
Yeah, but at what cost?
I know, but I feel like Disney has a different. I think they're thinking more long term. They're thinking more about how this is gonna make an impact 30, 40, 50 years from now versus...
Not only that, you're not going to be a governor for...
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
But remember the fight, though. The fight is not government or a governor trying to put people into a private entity. the private entity was given a set of powers
Yep.
by the state previously
Yep.
that essentially many people will agree were abused. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And there is a real community there with
Yeah.
real people that
Yeah.
live there
Yeah.
that do have to have, no different than anywhere else in the state, the same level of supervision
Yeah.
by the state, right?
Correct.
And so what the governor is doing is essentially saying we are reclaiming a right to put our people
Yeah.
into a government
Yeah.
area,
Got it.
not your
Got
private. We're not going into Disney to say, here's your next vice president
Yeah,
for
correct, correct.
entertainment. Or,
Yeah.
No. It's like our people. We are going to put.
I got it.
So you.
But
So
I got
that's
you.
the essential
Yeah,
argument.
No,
you know
I
what
got
mean?
you.
So-
But I think that the government, even though I don't agree with everything Disney is doing, I just want to make it clear, I don't agree with a lot of Disney's philosophies. But I do believe that the government may be overstepping their boundaries as far as how they're trying to control what Disney's doing. And I think Disney, they got enough money to where they're going to show the governor and that, hey, we got way more power than you think we have. And I think they're gonna win this one. Unfortunately, that's what I think is gonna happen. And because, I was talking about this earlier. So if I make a private school, right? Should the government be allowed to come in and say, "Hey, this is what you're allowed to teach at this school"? If it's private, I own it. I'm regulating it. Can you tell me what I can and can't teach in this school?
Well, there's a couple of things connected to that. I mean, especially when it comes to education, there's a so-called, common sense social contract. You know what I mean? Where, you can. It's okay for you to have a private school, and even go into areas where you're going to discuss about some of the benefits of people that have the need to use certain drugs. But you can't really set up a school from day one to say, listen, this is how you become a drug dealer, and this is how there are certain limits to what should be discussed. You can talk about the consequences of prostitution, but it's not a good idea to help the children already start thinking about how to set up a prostitution
Gotcha.
center.
All right, so
but that's not what's actually happening here, though. This is not government going into so you have your school and you have your own ideas about how you want to teach. They're not going into your school. They're saying that everything that is surrounding the school, which is again is public domain, that should be cared for, controlled by, should be controlled by the state. Now it's not. So I really don't want you to think
So-
that that's coming across as that.
You have something.
Yeah. No,
Okay, go ahead.
all I'm saying is, I think even though that's the initial thing that's going on, I think for Disney it's bigger than that. I think for Disney, what their biggest thing is, they want to be able to do what they want to do. And I think even if they don't get 100% of what they want, they're going to get most of what they want, and you can't stop them as an entity as powerful as they are, as much money as they're bringing to the community. The whole state's making money. I think you're limited in how much you can stop that, regardless of whether it's you trying to say, oh, well, I don't like the fact that you named this street this thing because you don't own the street, or whether it's I don't want you to, market these different products or these different ideas. I think they're gonna have a hard time trying to.
Why
stop
don't we
Disney from
remind
doing what they're
everybody
doing.
what started this issue?
So here's what happened. Governor DeSantis had this put together in the cabinet or whatever. They put together the so-called "Don't Say Gay" bill, which is actually called the Parental Rights bill. So that's
the real name of the bill. It was never called "Don't Say Gay."
No, it was
bill,
never.
right?
By the way, I
just for the
personally
record,
read the bill myself, and it doesn't say anything nearly closely related to "Don't Say
I
Gay."
just wanted for the record for everybody to
and
be
so
very
that
clear.
happened, and the old CEO, Bob something, he says that they were going to fight against this bill because it was already approved. It's been enforced for a year. That's why everybody keeps on talking about books being banned, which are terrible books if you have looked into them. It's disgusting.
So let me start giving perspective to that. What you're saying is, here you have a private entity, very large, with a significant presence in the state of Florida, who wants to actually now dictate, right,
the law.
What the law should be, right? And essentially they're actively taking up position. By the way, this is also a company that has experienced a privileged position,
Yeah.
a very special tax accommodation, and were granted a set of powers that no other company has in
No
the
other
state of
company
no,
has.
no other company, not Universal, not SeaWorld, there's no other company.
Yes.
I don't care who you are, not even
No.
that has the
On
set-
the other side, here is what I found out from our last discussion on this, and
Yeah.
it's the fact that Disney is, I mean, I knew that Disney is ginormous, but I didn't know it was that big. It's like 10 to 15 times bigger than Universal right now.
Sure.
And even with the expansion that is happening, it's only going to be, like, it's not even cutting it in half.
1,000%.
So that being said, here is where I have a problem with is right now it's gotten to who is like it's a tug of war and
It's got the biggest baseball bat.
yeah, that's basically it. And so the thing about it is that yeah, 100%. But here's the thing. Here's what I don't understand. That Bob Iger, because the other Bob was let go.
Let
Like he
go.
was legit let go. Bob Iger is a player. Like that guy put Disney like very good
phenomenal
position.
things for Disney. His legacy,
Amazing.
up until this moment, his legacy
It's
was
untarnished.
cemented.
He's got a book. We've all read it.
One of we read his book.
I was proud to work at Disney while he was at Disney, even
Yeah.
though it didn't work at Disney. Like, it was one of those things that I'm like, wow, this guy is awesome. But he is coming back and he's saying, okay, I am
already
who I
back.
am.
He's already
And he's back. And so he is fighting it out with DeSantis. And so it's ugly from both sides of the equation. For me, Bob Iger should have been like, I'm the new guy. Why don't we sit down, negotiate, and talk about this thing? That's the reasonable thing to do. If not, DeSantis can be like, bro, I know you. You've done this. I respect you. Can't we actually negotiate? But instead, what he's doing is he's putting a board together. And the board is a bunch of his political contributors.
Got it.
Which that, to me, is the only thing that, like, let's call the word triggers me. Is the only thing that triggers me is that it's crony. The fact that it's his political contributors.
So what he's saying here, let me just
They
let
give him
me
money.
translate that
Campaign
a
money.
little bit. We'll translate that just for a second. Governor DeSantis ended up
Appointing a board.
eliminating that special privilege condition
That
that
Disney
Disney
has.
has enjoyed for many years and
Yes.
experience that no other company has.
No.
They have their own board.
Yes.
By the way,
I'm okay with that.
No. What that means is that this private company was given a set of powers where they actually set up a board that deals with government affairs.
Yes.
Essentially, right?
Yes.
So, what the governor does is remove those people that are part of that private company,
not
that
removed
private
yet,
environment.
but
the idea
yeah,
is
there's a new
they
board
are
coming
going
in.
to be replaced
Yes.
with a new board that is approved by
Him.
him as a governor,
And they
right?
approve of him.
But my point is a specific area that if Disney never had this privileged position before, would have been a government priority and right to
Yeah.
set it up as that. So I just want to make sure that we all understand
Yes.
that it's not that the politically the government or the governor
He's not able
is
to do that.
putting
He can
into
totally
a
do that.
private company. Like I just want to make sure that we
Yes,
clear,
yes,
but you know what I
yes,
mean?
yes,
Like I
yes,
want to
yes,
make sure that it's not like going into Starbucks saying, listen,
Yeah.
the lady at the drive-through, it's got to come from us. Like I want to make sure that that's not happening. That everybody's clear about that. What we're
yes,
saying is something that was our right to do as the government.
DEI is
We
already
are
doing
going
that.
to enforce now. But that he put his cousin, who drinks a little too much, or the lady who gave him extra money, that's not my issue right now. By the
I
way,
do. I
but
have an
I
issue
get
with
it,
that.
but we're not even there yet because listen, nobody's gonna let him go through that process. If this is already suing, what do you think that information, misinformation, what do you think is gonna come out of it? They're not gonna say everybody's nice people and they all have very good. No, they're gonna demonize everybody, and of course. What is the best way to make them look bad? Well, you're there because you probably give them money, and they probably do. By the way, if I was there, I would be accused of I gave the governor
$50? Is that what you're
couple of
saying?
dollars, you know.
That you
I mean,
were
so I don't
couple
know.
of dollars
I don't know his biggest
that you sent
contributors
to
for that.
Trump because
You know what I mean? They're like
you asked for
25. They needed a 20. They needed a 20, and like I'm sending a 20.
So
right?
what you're saying
So,
is that
What I'm saying is that is second. That is second. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And if reality that's happening, in all fairness, right, where there are people that just because there are contributors, it's
Yeah.
never a good idea. Especially when, and I would have a hard time though, because that's an incredible lack of common sense. When you know that the issue it's already being looked at by so many people, for you to go, here's my cousin, here's can we also get, what is the name of Joe Biden's son? What is the name of the this kid who is
you're asking me for real.
was
Hunter.
smoking? No, I'm being sarcastic.
No, I'm like,
Who,
what? I don't
who
understand.
we saw smoking crack somewhere in so many videos. How about we put like that would be a real bad idea. I mean, our president has gotten away with that, but God forbid.
I understand, but DeSantis is wrong. Look, nobody likes DeSantis more than me. Just so you know, I really like this guy. I really do. And so a move like this pisses me off.
Look into it a little better, I will say. Read a little more.
I looked into two people.
Yeah.
One I'm alright with. The other one I'm not.
Read a little more. That's
All I'm
telling you.
saying
Go a
is
little deeper.
I don't think
I-
the government wants to smoke from Disney.
they
They are not ready for that.
I don't want Disney to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that what makes this place,
I don't think they can.
you know what I mean? Oh no, sure they could. Listen,
Texas is like, come on.
yeah,
Abbott is
if
like-
this got to a point where it really goes down to, I'm
Then-
gonna show you that I have the biggest baseball bat,
Yeah.
but here's what we know, right? At some point,
But do you think right now, looking
Some
at the...
people-
Sorry, go ahead.
no, listen. Right now, everybody's positioning themselves because you can't go to the table being the weakest guy showing up to the table. You gotta say, listen, I'm in a stronger position. I can shut you down. I don't even have to issue any permits with any additional. Like you can really make them miserable. And now they're gonna be using the biggest argument in name calling to a pro-business governor to be labeled as anti-business, and they're gonna run with that, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, though, he's not the only one that has a lot on the line. I think that someone like Bob Iger, whose legacy was connected to Disney, if he mismanaged this, I don't care what he did before. If he mismanaged this moment, this situation right now, where there's a lot of people questioning as to whether should I go to the park. Like I was questioning, should I go to? Why do I want to support some of the stuff? Why do I want to support books that are, telling children how to have sex at the, and they're being taught about sex, and they are supporting that.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? They're supporting things that I just don't support. So at some point, what do? Do I get angry with the governor who's taking a strong position saying, we don't want our children to be exposed to this crap? You know what I
No,
mean?
I'm not angry at the governor taking a strong position about that. I'm totally cool with it. What I have a problem with is, again, and I tried digging, there's not a whole lot of information. So you may be right in certain aspects. It's just the couple people that I found, I'm not too happy with.
I get
so it's like, and I understand that everybody else in government does it. My cousin is doing this, my brother is doing
Somebody
this.
has to be
but
appointed.
these guys
This is not. They are
is
not,
running against all of that. So is he the same person? That's the only thing.
No, but just keep this in mind though. This is not positions where people run for. They get to be appointed by the governor, and there's many things in this the state, by the way, where people go through appointments. You know what I mean? Where they absolutely. But that's one of the benefits that the governor has. They get to appoint people in many different offices, and they have a real impact. You know what I mean? But and this is no different. You know what I mean? Except for the fact that the whole situation is hypersensitive, and it can have real negative impacts when it comes to the state. But I listen. Usually it's this way. Usually the way it works is you have real bad politicians creating real bad problems for good companies.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's usually the way it works.
Yeah,
For the
that's
first time, we have a situation of a company that has been treated with kid gloves because, by the way, they had made a phenomenal contribution to the state of Florida. I mean, one of the reasons why we don't pay state taxes here is because we have so many people come visit the parks, and that helps reduce the need for. So yeah, it would be a disaster if Disney says, we're picking up and we're going. Well, let me show you who's that. And but I don't think that would be a good move for them in general, right? I hope it doesn't get to a point. I agree with you in the sense that they got more longevity. They've been here for 100 years. They're going to be here for 100 years more, right? And so the fact of the matter is that, especially for a guy who's running for president, right? But this is the case where you have a good company.
By the way, he passed a law that says he can still run and be in the office.
He can. So you have a guy who is essentially today considered one of the best politicians that we have in the country, fighting with a company that for many years was considered a very special company inside and outside of the country. But right now, when you're thinking about what is the fight all about, I'm with Governor DeSantis though.
I agree with his thought process, but I think it's a losing fight. I don't think he's going to win this one, and the reason why is because even though I agree with his philosophy more,
it depends on how it ends, though.
True, it does. And it's still very early. We don't know how this whole thing is going to pan out.
This is just the beginning. 100%. This is where everybody's just grabbing ammunition. So that when you go to the table, you go to. But I agree with you. This is not something that I don't believe. I don't believe that it's going to be.
Bob, here's Ron. Here's Bob. Why don't you guys duke it out?
Why don't you have a Bud Light together? Maybe.
Ron doesn't drink Bud Lights.
Probably doesn't do it, especially right now. That's why he's Lorena's boy, right? Like, my boy. Anyway,
I really like that guy. It's guys, just that stuff.
I hope
it just sets my antennas off. I've seen this picture too many times.
Can we wrap this up?
Yeah, sure. I mean, at the end of the day,
we got a trucker driving. About to arrive to his destination. We need to.
True.
We need to wrap it.
And more than anything, how I feel about this whole thing. Number one, you just got to know what's going on. Once again, that is the number one reason why we even have all this content, this information for you guys to know what's going on. Because I know there's a lot of people who don't even know that there's something going on with the government and Disney. And I feel like depending on how this does pan out, this can change how business is being done in Florida altogether.
Correct.
This can also change how government or how businesses have effects on government. So it's something that we got to pay attention to. More than anything, I'm interested to see. I don't know. I'm going for
grab the popcorn.
I'm going for Ron, but unfortunately, I think he's gonna lose this one. He's gonna get knocked
going
out.
For Ron, but you don't see it.
I don't see it. I don't see him making it. But either way, we got to be in the know. Pay attention to what's going on. Vote with your dollars with the things you do support. So go to Universal. It is a better product. But that's my final thoughts.
That's pretty much it. But for me, I'll tell you this. My biggest lesson for the week was actually watching Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon react to whatever happened.
Differently.
It was one of those things that I'm like, man.
If there was ever a case study needed for something like this.
Well, it's like it happened at the same exact time. It happened kind of sort of the same exact way, and like two people reacted very different ways. And regardless of whether you agree or disagree with both of these guys, I'm not even saying one or the other. At this very moment, is regardless of whether you agree or disagree with both of these guys, study how they behaved and see who do you want to be like. Unfortunately, what I believe is gonna win
most people
is the whole Twitter boo-hoo, you-hoo, victimhood thing. Because it gets more clicks, it gets more eyeballs, it gets more of this. Somewhere, somehow, we're edifying and we're making heroes of people that make themselves victims versus the people that have practice a little bit more stoicism and they actually happen to have their shit together.
Disney beats the government.
It's too funny. But that was my biggest lesson. I put myself in different scenarios, and that was one of the things that I wanted everybody to kind of think about. And then be mindful of the doctor that you have. Make sure that it's not a peddler. There's very good doctors out there. But anyway,
100%. I mean, there's
some of them are drug dealers for sure.
Definitely a lot of good doctors out there, but yeah, we have a lot of people, surgery happy and drug happy,
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
put everybody out there to a process. For me, though, my final conclusion here is to take very seriously the style and the steps they are taking to try to get President Biden reelected. I don't think he has been a good president, and I don't think he should be reelected. I think and I don't know of a lot of capable hands right now from the Democrat Party, but I know that just about anybody, this is the moment where even Hillary is looking, very attractive right now.
Less compromised.
But the country is not in a good place. The economy is not in a good place. Our currency is a risk, a serious risk for the first time of. And there's many things that just went wrong. And here's the scary part, though. Like, I had a couple of conversations with some very intelligent, well-educated people that actually like they wanted to say, no, well, we're not at war with Russia, and that we're providing weapons, and is that not a war by proxy? Is not and so there's things that we don't want to call. If you don't want to ever get to the point where you're going to be willing to call evil, right? Just because you want to support the narrative of one political party, then you are not only at risk, but you actually are responsible of helping people take this country down. And I hope there will be enough people that will have the courage to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stand for that. This is, this country has been a blessing to so many.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And essentially, and the formation of this country was essentially a novel idea. The process that it went through to become what it is, the fact that professional politicians are turning this country into also something extremely corrupt, it's very scary to see and to witness. The level of corruption that we see here today started to look like levels of corruption that we had witnessed in other countries, that I have witnessed in other countries. So, hoping for the best, hoping that everybody's going to get engaged, you know what I mean, and they're going to, guys, listen, you have some family members, you have some friends, we try to cut some of these videos to specific ideas, so that if you don't feel like watching the whole thing or coming back to it, you get a chance to get some information, but pass it around. If it's anything here helpful, share, like, subscribe, get somebody else. We're trying to get a head count
Fight
just
it
like
out.
everybody else.
Are you Team
just
Disney?
so that we can
Team
have
DeSantis?
right, so that we can have a bigger voice out there. So we humbly, are inviting you, to be part of this journey, be part of the process. We believe that a lot of this information is needed, especially coming from average people that are just looking for what would be best, not necessarily following an agenda. I actually supported many of the positions that a Bill Clinton had. Since then, I had a hard time. I seem progressively just getting more and more to a point where I don't understand. Some very intelligent people, and either they don't want to look deeper.
Let the record be known. Marvin voted for Bill Clinton.
Supporting his ideas. That's very different than to actually voting, right? That's for the record. So, but with that being said, listen, we're inviting you, right? Because I don't know where you're getting news from. I don't know who you're having conversations with. We'd love to hear from you. Anybody that's getting some of this, just to see what you're thinking, what you're seeing out there. So again, move it around, subscribe, help us grow a little bigger so that we can have a bigger voice out there, and hopefully we can get to the right people. But deeply grateful that you are going through this journey with us. We appreciate you.
Like, comment, subscribe, share.
Peace.
Thank you.